Oh, there, this will work. Are we live? I think we are, but everything is really delayed here. What's going on? Can I? Oh, I think we're live. I'm gonna have to check this here on my phone. Mm-hmm. Give me a second. It says we're live, which it seems like we are, but we're really delayed. Or I'm seeing a really long delay. Da, da, da. Second. It says we're live, which it seems like we are, but we're really delayed. Or I'm seeing a really long delay. Okay. Seems to be going. All right. So, oh no, now it's saying no data. And now it's saying excellent connection. Okay. I am going to assume that we are live now because everything looks like we are live. So, welcome to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. This is the live stream where we're trying to build a business. We're trying to build a business that's going to generate $1 million in revenue every single year. Because why? Well, because we want to be successful business people. And we also don't want to have to worry about money, about how we're going to pay rent, how we're going to have food, how we're going to feed our families, all those things that are important. I think it's really important to be able to pay your bills and to be able to live a quality of life that makes sense for you. So, with all that being said, today what we're going to do, we're going to dive into, what are we going to dive into? We're going to dive into setting up a podcast. So we've been talking quite a bit about this in a few earlier episodes, and I'm going to bring up some of the documentation that we've been writing. Let's see here. We've been taking kind of lots of marketing ideas, video content ideas, next steps, all kinds of things. I'm just going to pop some things up here. Bear with me for a moment. But while I look up these things, one of the things that while I pull these things up, one of the things that we talked about was having a podcast and starting a podcast, and we're going to do that. I think it's really important. I think it's one of the best things we can do for our long-term marketing strategy. Right. Sorry. Next steps. Oh my goodness. Let's open up this one. Then let's open up this one. Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that we talked about was how we can use a podcast as one of our content pieces. And I think it's going to be a really good thing to have for us to be able to, number one, I think it's going to be helpful for us to just learn and talk to other business people that are either around the area. I mean, we'll start local around the area, but it could be across Canada, across the world. And it's going to be good for us, to learn about them, learn about their experiences, and see what we can incorporate in our lives. And to just talk and network to other people that are in the community that are working on building their own businesses and their own companies and what have you. It's always great to go out, talk to people, interact with people. I mean, at the end of the day, usually a business is to provide some kind of product or service for somebody, and that generally means getting yourself out there so people know who you are and knowing what it is that you do, right? So that's important. And let me share my screen here, and we're just going to, I'm not sure, where am I here? Oh yeah, it doesn't work. So we're going to go over some of the things that we talked about for marketing and see what we wrote down initially for what our thoughts were for a podcast. And then we'll go from there. So if you're watching this, but now or into the future, let me know like the technology behind how to run a podcast. Like I have that down. That's no problem for me. But if you want me to talk about that in terms of what it is to set up a podcast, let me know. Because I think it would actually, maybe it'll be good to just go from everything from scratch. To just talk about, number one, the tools that we're going to be using. And number two, there's actually going to be this whole thing of setting up this whole office. Because this whole office, you can't see very much. It's really dark and it's really messy here. But this office that I have is where we're going to run this podcast. I mean, it would be fantastic to have an actual studio. But I'm not going to pay whatever amounts in rent right now to rent out a studio space for something that I'm not even sure is going to, you never know how things are going to go, right? And I don't need a studio space right now, so I'm not going to spend the money on a studio space. So we're going to do it right here at my home. And I guess we'll see if people are interested in actually coming into my home or not. But then we're also going to set it up so that we can have remote guests as well on our podcast. So that'll be cool. We'll go over that whole process and we'll kind of document setting up the office, setting up the equipment, setting up the gear, and then of course how we're actually going to go out and try to get guests on our show. So we're going to be putting kind of everything out there. So if you ever want to start a podcast of your own and want to figure out how to start, I mean, you could probably watch these videos to see kind of how we're doing it here. So Pixel Media Corporation, what to do. Okay, that's video ideas, building websites. Yeah, we kind of fixed that. Video content, long form. Yeah, we have that. Direct communication, building resources for people. Okay, right. So that's right. This is again kind of the separate thing where there's a little bit of a difference between Pixel Media, the company that creates websites for people, versus what I'm doing right now, like this live stream and the whole process of documenting how to build a business. That's kind of more of the personal brand side of things. So that, I think, let's go to this marketing site here. I didn't start my chat thing here. Let's see if I can connect that. So Charlene, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining. So you're saying from scratch is a great idea. Yeah. Okay. I think it's a good idea too. So we'll kind of do that. And today's the first day of figuring all this stuff out. Just for a note for you, if you noticed, I've been working on your website. So if you're on there, just note it's in flux right now. So there's kind of like half of the things have been done and things are kind of just halfway done. So just if you're on your site, just take note of that. So things might look a little bit strange in some areas, but that's just because I kind of stopped halfway to start the live stream here. Okay. So we have this is for the personal brand. Okay. So we have the live stream, which is what we're doing. So that's video content there. And then podcasting. Okay. Conversations with people, local entrepreneurs, business owners about their struggles, successes with running a business. Okay, so this is more talking about all the different pieces of content, that I can get from here, not necessarily thinking about the actual content. Okay. So, okay. You're welcome. And let me know what you think as well. I think the homepage is fleshed out pretty good. So it's just the internal pages that I'm still working on. So maybe you can let me know what you think of the homepage. So next steps. Right, the niche. Yeah, we've done that. Yeah, I do have some ideas for these types of videos as well too. One of them that I'm just about to start working on it's something very similar to this. It's not how I made my first 100,000, but how I made my first, I don't know, whatever it is, like 50,000 revenue within the first 5 months or something like that. I don't know exactly what the numbers are. Niche ideas, process time. All right, this is when we were thinking about what types of videos that we can make for our YouTube channel. Right, there's still a few things here that I haven't worked on yet. This is definitely one of them. Okay, I think what we'll do, because I don't have enough documents here, stuff floating around. Let's create this new document. Let's save this as, or we're going to save it. We're going to call it, podcast. I want to do brainstorm. Is this more of a is it a brainstorm document? Broadcast brainstorm. Sure. We can always rename later. Okay. I need some music. Man, I wish you could just play like any music. I mean, I get why, because you're on a stream or whatever the case may be, but it's like you can listen to music on your radio or at home and blare the speakers, but if you're on any kind of stream or whatever, it's, copyright. But I guess if you're monetizing your stream, but are people watching your stream just because of the music you happen to be listening to? So I think there's a thing too, is if you're listening to music on a radio and that song comes on the radio, like you can get copyright struck just because it picks up whatever was on the radio, which is like, it's on the radio. But anyways, okay, so what should I say? Getting started with our podcast. Okay. So what are our ideas for like a theme? Or maybe podcast theme. Yeah. I'm talking with I guess we want to say business owners. Like not necessarily, well, I mean, I guess we can talk with, because I'm thinking like, what about, CEOs or other people that are parts of businesses? I think at least initially to start, we want to talk with people who like own, started, / running their own business. Yeah, I think that's good. 1 second. Ugh. Excuse me. So we want to talk with people who own started running their own business. Is there any other people? I mean, I think there's twofold. I think we also want to talk about or talk with people who, and this is expanding on the podcast that Andrew and I were doing. People who have, I want to say, like who have breaking, who have broken out of the, I don't know, day-to-day mold and have just done something amazing. That sounds really cheesy, but it's speaking with people that you just don't live inside the box, right? And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs have similar characteristics because usually, you know, if you're going with the grain, it's, you know, go to school, get a job, work for somebody, you know, work for 40 years, 50 years, whatever the hell the case may be, retire and die, you know, to be blunt about it. You know, and that's the traditional path, right? Kind of no matter where you are in the world. And people that are entrepreneurs are generally like, I mean, either some people are just forced into it because they lose their jobs or whatever. And they're like, what the hell? I need to figure out how I'm going to make money. And other people just kind of fall into it because they've done something that, or like they do something that people decide that they really want. Like if someone's really good at, you know, making sweaters, sewing sweaters, or, baking or whatever the case may be. And other people or friends are like, this is really good. Could you make this for me or whatever? And then they just happen to make a business out of it. But they still have the courage and the conviction to go ahead and just kind of pursue it. And then there's other people that are crazy, maybe a little bit like me, that are just like, what the hell? I'm going to do whatever the hell I can. I'm going to die trying to figure out whatever I need to do in order to build a business that's going to catapult me to heights that you literally pretty much just cannot go if you're working for somebody else. It's just pretty much not impossible. Look at all the people that are insanely successful or rich or whatever the case may be in terms of success. Lots of them started by being entrepreneurs and just creating something that provides value for people. So that's unconventional. So I think the two go hand in hand. So I think those are the two main themes that I think would work really well together. So let's pull that one. Doesn't like that? Okay, it's gotta have those. Okay. Talk with people who have broken out of the day-to-day mold. So think adventures. What else could you say? So one thing to think about with that could be, I don't need that anymore. Have we written anything on here? Yeah. Exploration of ordinary people who do extraordinary things. I like that. Who wrote that? I must have written that. Okay. This looks like a laser beam, like a lightsaber. I like that. And I don't know. Maybe Andrew will get back on the show too. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. Okay. Adventures. Life less than ordinary. Or we can say adventures or even achievements. Okay. So now the biggest thing is podcast guests. So the problem, of course, how to have a continual stream of guests. If that music is too loud, it's a little loud in my ears. I'll turn that down here. How to have a continual stream of guests appearing on your show. So hang on a second. Let me think of a format. So I'm thinking, at least for now, one podcast per week. But I mean, ideally, it'd be fantastic to have one Monday to Friday. That would be fantastic. But that's a lot of guests. And that's like basically being a full-time podcaster. So, which isn't necessarily our goal here. Our goal is to use our podcast. Well, what is our goal? I don't know if we necessarily have a goal with the podcast, except to bring awareness to what people are doing here in the community and to bring awareness to the whole benefits of becoming an entrepreneur. So, that being said, let's write that down. So, podcast goals, or let's say purpose of the podcast. So to showcase, what's the way to say this? Showcase the extraordinary things that ordinary people do. You can do it too. So that's kind of the byproduct. So the purpose, you talk to people that have done extraordinary things and realize that they're ordinary people just like you and I. And then if they can do it, then there's no reason why you can't do it as well. So I guess you can say a little bit of motivation, inspiration kind of thing. Maybe not so much motivation, probably inspiration, I would say. Definitely not motivating. I wouldn't think anyways. Okay, and then it's also to learn business lessons from people that have gone through just gone through the fire, gone through the how could you say it? I mean, people who have built businesses before. Through the experiences, the highs and lows of starting, operating, and growing a business. You could say growing a successful business. But again, there's that word successful. It's always a, what does that mean for you kind of thing, where it's a subjective term, where success for me is different than what success is for you or how you would define it, right? Mm-hmm. So what else? What other reason? Why are we doing this? So we want to learn business lessons. And I guess we could just be exposed to new businesses and new opportunities. And And then an internal purpose. I'll just put this here. Internal. Why am I doing it? Of course, it's just to grow. It's just to grow the brand. And grow the brand and grow. Just what we're doing. Awareness for what we're doing. So, I mean, I think it's always good to keep in mind, like, why are you doing it? Like, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do a podcast? You know, at the end of the day, yes, I think it'll be fun and it's really good to do, but there's a business objective. And right now that objective is just to grow the brand, get eyeballs on what it is that we're doing, get eyeballs into what Pixel is doing, and of course, grow awareness to what we're doing on a personal level, which is going to, like, the membership site. I think I'm going to need that. I'm going to start that, I think, soon. In fact, I've been working on it kind of behind the scenes. So we need to launch that. Because that's going to be where everything's going to be held together, which is going to be the home base for everything that I'm doing, which I'm looking forward to. What else? What else could there be? Purpose of the podcast? Yeah. I mean, does anything need to be said about just the idea of, like, we want to talk to other business people, like, of all stages? Talk with people at all stages of their business journey. So I think it's really cool. I mean, when you listen to podcasting, you're hearing people that are super successful. They're like, you know, multimillionaires, and they have like all these crazy companies and corporations, whatever. And they talk about their lessons and whatever. That's really cool. But I think there's also value in listening to people that are at the start of their journey. And you can still find podcasts and people that talk about that for sure. But I find it's a little bit harder to find. But talking to the people that are at the start of their journey and what they're learning, and kind of seeing what their fears are, what their concerns are, what their worries are, where they're struggling, where they want to go, and just put that out there. And then, you know, you could touch base with those people 6 months later, 1 year later, and see how they're doing, and seeing, you know, like comparing where they were to where they are now and what they have learned. And I don't know, I just feel like, I guess in a way, it's the same thing of kind of documenting the progress of somebody. But this is more of just having initial conversations with people and finding out what new people are having. And then you could probably come up with, what's the word I'm looking for? Similarities between entrepreneurs. Like, regardless of whether somebody wants to start up a new bubblegum flavor, or they're starting a web design company, or they're doing painting and illustrations, or they're making jewelry, they might all have the same hiccups when it comes to figuring out how to do marketing, or figuring out, you know, how to best do social media, whatever the case may be, right? So that's just, I don't know, just talking to people and seeing what they're doing and the struggles that they're facing and the successes. I don't know, I think it'll be really fun and be very very insightful, and likely very educational as well too. Because I love the idea. There's lots of people talking about this now of, you know, how to steal the 10,000 hours from people, and how, you know, there's that saying of you put in 10,000 hours, that's how long it takes to become an expert at something. And I think it's true to a certain point. Like, I'm sure that number is a little bit, you know, here or there, depending on, you know, what industry you're at. But in order to get really good at something, you have to put in the time. And a lot of people are talking now how to steal that 10,000 hours from somebody, which is basically how can you sit down with that person and extract all the lessons that they've learned the hard way of going through all the time and, blood, sweat, and tears of getting to where they are now. And if you can sit down with somebody and extract that information, so you can learn that their secrets from 10,000 hours from sitting down with them for 10 hours for a day. I mean, think of the value that you can have from that. And I think sitting down and just talking to people helps you extract some of that information from people. That's why I like even things like just reading books and getting knowledge from other people. You just learn so much from other people, so you don't have to necessarily make those same mistakes. So yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I've learned today, even whether it's even figuring out how to use equipment for podcasting or things that I've learned on web design, and most of that stuff has been reading up on what other people have been doing and reading books about it or whatever, and just absorbing that knowledge, and then of course practicing and doing things on my own. But a lot of it is just absorbed knowledge. So what's the point? I'm not sure what the point is. I think the point is that learning from other people, sitting down and talk to other people, and even listening to other conversations that other people have is a good thing, and that can help you get to where you want to be even faster. But it's always tough though. There's always, take things with a grain of salt, because what works for somebody might not necessarily work for you. So that's always something to consider. But anyways, so we have this internal goal. Maybe can I just change that to a different color? Oh, red sounds like it's bad. Let's make it. Oh, these colors are horrible. Let's make it blue. Okay. Okay. So we have our podcast theme. Is that the right word? I guess so, eh? Your theme of the show, purpose. Okay, yeah, format. Maybe I could just say something like, just write this out. So let me bring that up a little bit. So initially, we'll start with 1 episode per week, but ideally it would be it would be great to have, I want to say between 2 and 3. I mean 2 to 3 episodes per week. So we should work towards that goal. And that goal might be, 2 years from now. Did I do something where I estimated how much time it would take? Yeah, podcasting. I think, that's 10 pieces of content on how much time. I think I've done a time estimate. Let me see here. Move this out of the way. Marketing time estimates. Podcasting, 10.5 hours. 3 hours recording, 4 hours editing. And half an hour contacting guests. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5. Why do I have 10.5 here? Oh, unless I'm saying that's 2 podcasts. Oh, this is, I know why. This is half hour a day. Spend half hour a day contacting people if they want to be a guest on our show. So that's, if I do that 5 days a week, that's 2.5. I probably want to do 7 days a week. So that would be 7 times 0.5. That's 3.5 hours. So that's 4, 7, 10.5. Yeah, that's what I did. So that's at 1. So if I were to do 3 of them, let's just say it's just me, which I think that's a bad thing to estimate. But if I'm doing 3 hours or 3 podcasts a week, it's basically 30 hours. That can't be right. I mean, look at these people that do 1 podcast a day. I mean, they have a whole team of people. So the host themselves is just talking to the person, maybe doing a little bit of, research on the individual that they're going to be talking with. But the most of everything in terms of putting clips or whatever, that's all done by staff. So to move on from 1 day a week to more, then that would have to be when I have additional staff that will be taking the editing and clipping and all that kind of stuff off my plate. Because as I put in here, I have 63 hours in the week of things that I have to do, of time that I have to do marketing on business. And if podcasting is taking half of that, and then live stream, that's pretty much, I don't have anything else. Don't have any other time. Okay. So let's just write that in. What was this message coming through here pretty loudly? More updates. Okay. All right. So initially we'll start with one out. Moving past 1 episode per week will require an additional staff member to help, to take over the editing and just content breakdown of each episode. Tab 2, right? Okay. So the format. So this is a good question. So there's a few things. Let's see. How to set up the podcast. So there's the question of the set. So this is a question that I don't know what would be the best way to do, because you can have, basically you're sitting down at a table in front of guests at a table, or just sitting down in chairs, like kind of comfy chairs, I guess you can say. What's the word for that? Like a love seat. No, it's not a love seat. I don't know. I'll just put in comfy chairs. I know what that means. Sit down in comfy chairs with like a coffee table in the middle. Something like that. So let's go here. Let's take a look at podcast studio setups. Actually, before we get to that, what else? So format. Okay, so how to set up the podcast. And do I want to talk about like the actual format structure of the podcast itself? No, I mean, conversations happen quite organically, or at least I want them to happen quite organically. So I don't think I need to worry about this at this stage of the game. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the guests before we talk about how we want to actually like set up our studio, and maybe where. No, I'm almost positive that I don't want to have a studio, and also not that I can't afford a studio. I just don't want to pay. I don't want to pay any monthly fees for something like that, unless I know for sure. Number one, I have a good audience and I'm getting a good return on it. And by return, I don't necessarily mean cash, because I'm not interested in monetizing anything like that. But return in terms of getting more eyeballs to Pixel and getting more clientele and more work through our business. Then that return would make sense to actually have a studio. And then with that, not only would it be a podcasting studio, it would probably be a place where I would have people working for Pixel in that studio space. Oh man, when I keep thinking about studios, I know exactly in my head how I want things to look, and I probably would want to have, like, I'd want to build like a house and have part of the house, whether it's a detached part or like it's all in the basement or whatever, of an actual studio workspace where I would run my company and employees would come and all that kind of stuff, to have a really good place, a really good creative place to work. So anyways, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I get too excited thinking about the possibilities of what I want to do. So for now, we need to have people. Okay, so problem, solution. So number one, where to start with? Okay, well, number one would be ask entrepreneurs / business owners that I already know if they want to come on the show. So that's number one. Number two, I think, would be to create could it be to create a list? Like, I'm thinking of creating a list of local, I'd almost go all of Nova Scotia, because we can always bring people in, like for a day or whatever. Create a list of local business owners. So I can create a list of business owners, and I would probably want to identify them in a certain way. Like, how would I organize them? Like, obviously you could just go into the yellow pages and get a list of people, but see if you can. Yeah, okay. We want to actually identify local business owners by the individual. Like finding out exactly who runs a company, right? Or who runs a local bakery shop or whatever. Who is that guy? Who's that person? And then find out about them. And and add them to basically whatever, let's say an internal list, I guess you could say. I'm not sure what exactly that's going to look like. We're probably going to want to see what kind of information do we want to collect. So I want to find out, what do I want to find out? How much I would like to have them on the show. So like, rating 1 to 10. And rating I mean, this is really subjective here. How good of a guest do I think they would be. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to contact anybody who I don't think would be a good guest. Right? That would be kind of silly. Anyways, I'm just jotting down ideas. Don't kill me if you think that these are stupid. They're just thoughts that I have. Identify local business owners. Find out about them. And a list which includes like the following ratings. Ratings / impressions. So I'd love to, to collect details would be good, right? So name of business, contact info, how long have they been in business? Their industry. What else would we want to know about them? How long have they been in business? The industry, like employees. Yeah, is that really important? Not really. I mean, it'd be nice to know how well they're doing, but again, that's kind of subjective. Well, how are you going to know that? Question mark there. Okay. So if I want to think about this logically, for the first year, I would need to get 52 people. So how many business are there in Nova Scotia? I guess an idea too would be to figure out what success rate I do get from asking people. If I ask 100 people and it's a 20% success rate, then you only have to reach out to, what's 20% of 50, like 1,000 people, something like that, to get your 50 guests. And then how many businesses are in Nova Scotia? Probably a lot more than 1,000. And that's just Nova Scotia. What about the rest of Canada, the rest of the world, right? I mean, there's so many people that go through let me put this in. Go through local accelerators. Accelerators to find out all the new startups. So there's Propel, there's MyTax, there's the Cove. I mean, this is just here. What else is there here? What is it, Access Nova Scotia, or what is it called now? Is it Access? No, it's not Access Nova Scotia. Let me see if I can find it. Invest Nova Scotia. That's it. Invest Nova Scotia. There's got to be so much more. I don't even know what they all are, but there's got to be more. So a lot of this list too, just a note. This is going to be a very similar list to Pixel and potential businesses looking for web and creative work. So while I'm out making a list for potential people that might want to go on a podcast, it's also a list of potential people that might be interested in having somebody that, that can do web design for them or web application development, whatever it is. Right. Excellent. So problem, how to have a continual stream of guests. Solution. So for the actual communications / the request, send out a personal email that starts with basically saying, hey, hey, I was at your store the other day and I really love what you're doing. You have an amazing store, blah, blah, blah. I really love your bagels. It's fantastic. Hey, I run a local, or I run a podcast that, talks to entrepreneurs, and I would love to be able to hear your story and see if they'd be interested in, coming onto the show and talking about your story. And that's it. So send out a personal email that starts with informing them, what I think. All right. So number 4 is learn about what the people on this list do and learn about the people on this list and find ways to connect with them on a personal level. Example, on your LinkedIn, you do rock climbing, or I see you're a fan of, the Habs, whatever, right? Just ways that you can have a common icebreaker when you're reaching out, forming them. A positive statement, remark about them and their business. Then inform them of what I do and how great it would be to have someone like them on the show. Could also provide a link to, I guess, maybe the layout of what the podcast actually looks like. Provide a link to the studio or past episodes so they can get an idea of who I am, the quality of the show, yeah. And this is just a question that I don't know. Do we need to give them information of like the benefits they can have from being on the show. I don't know. I don't know. You don't want someone to say like, "Hey, do you want to be on my show?" And then they come back and it's like, "Well, what's in it for me?" I mean, I guess they could, and there of course there is something for them in terms of exposure or what have you. But I mean, I guess that's what it is. I mean, my audience, you know, you'll have access to my audience and something like this that you could use on your social media as well too. New content for their media. So I think if this is something that I can spend 30 minutes a day of finding out local businesses and local companies and getting a list of people, I think it won't take long to get a what's the word I'm looking for? It won't take long to get a solid group of people that will make for a nice kind of playlist for the podcast. I don't think that sentence makes any sense. It won't be long till I can have like basically a full sheet or schedule of people to come on the show. And yeah. And the thing too is about scheduling. I'm not sure how that's going to work. That's a whole nother logistics of this whole thing of like how to contact people, how to schedule, when to schedule, especially if it's going to be here in my home. If, you know, the kids will get the kids away, kids out of the house, and everyone out of the house while there's, you know, the podcast is going on. So all kinds of logistic stuff to figure out. Okay. So yeah, how to set up the podcast. So that's another question. So let's take a look at, where are we? Did I close that? Let me open up a new one here. Okay. Let's zoom in here. So podcast studio design inspiration. How come this doesn't look? Oh, I want to do images. Let's go on Google Images, I guess. Okay. So yeah, this is your classic two-person or whatever. I guess you could have 4 on this one, where yeah, you're just sitting across. See, this is about the space. How can I need to showcase like how much space I have? Let me see if I can find this. Mosaic properties. I'll give you guys a layout. Like Halifax? I think it's Mosaic properties. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So if we can see, I think here, floor plans. All right, let's download. Okay. So where's my unit? I think this is what? Which one's us? I think this is. Oh no, where are we? Nope. Nope. I think this is us. Yeah, this is us. Okay, so let's rotate. Okay, so here is, you know what? Let's take this picture here. And let's bring this into Photoshop. Let's go into here. Okay. So let's get a different color. So we are right now, this is the den. So I'm trying to think what you can see here. Right here, why is it in black and white? Did I not? It's in grayscale. Why is it in grayscale? Sure. It's got to flatten everything. Now everything's stupid. Okay. So, pen, not a pen. Brush. What the hell? Oh my goodness, what is going on? Okay, I'm having some serious memory issues here on this computer. Oh wow, this thing's like... Something's going on big time. Okay. So basically, here's my office right now. Here's my desk. And then the camera is right here. And like I'm sitting right here. And then you're looking at the back. The back here, which you can't see. Anyways, there's a bookshelf here. Here's the plant. This whole wall here that has the LED. Here's my piano. Okay, anyways. So we have a 14 by 8 room. So, what can we do? We can... So the idea, for something like that with the table, so if I just erase all this here for a second again. So we could put up a table here. And you can have a chair here, or there could be 4 people, I don't know, whatever. And then we can have a small table right here, which is where the recording happens, just like all the cables or whatever. And then a camera here, maybe a camera here to get the angles. So it's very tight. There's only there's 8 feet. So there's not much space here. So that's where it's a little bit tricky. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other way to put it. Because I think the table needs to go, if we do have a table, it needs to go lengthwise this way. So alternatively, you can have something, well, actually, I think it would have to be where, and have a chair here. Yeah, that's my ridiculous looking chair. A chair here. And have just like a nice whatever table in the middle. But then you're for sure limited to 2 guests here. And then camera here, camera here. Looking at that guy. This one's looking at this guy. Then you can't really, I mean, I want to have 3 camera angles, but this one here, it's going to capture this one. So you might have to have the camera on this side so that it doesn't get captured. But anyways, again, with 8 feet here, oof, that's tight. And this one is hitting that corner wall. So anyways, that's what that looks like. So this is the room size that we're working with, which is very similar to this one. Yeah, this one looks like it's maybe 10 feet across here. So here's another. This is 8 Pro. Is this the same like studio? Brandon Stanley. What happens if you hit visit? Where does that take us? Oh, so this is very similar to what I was talking about. Except this table, this is too precarious here. Oh my goodness. Walk in and start taking any of these fully equipped design forward spaces. Is WeWork still in business? All right. Anyways, what catches the eye here for a studio space? So we do have a small space. So that is the issue. Look at this picture here. What's going on here? A Speak Podcast Studio reveal. So is this like a before and after? Oh, painting brick. Like making a custom desk. Oh, that's actually a really cool idea. Okay, I just need to see what the actual podcast setup is like. There's lots. Maybe if I can see the studio, which is not in business anymore. This is really cool, though. This is a really cool design. I don't think I want to go through any of this. This is like way too much. But who is this? Danica. Making my 12 by cement block dorm. But what about do you not podcast? So is there social media? Doesn't look like it. What's the last post? May 15th. Okay. Speak Podcast Studio. Let's see if we can find, paste. Speak Podcast Studio. Okay, that makes sense. Powered by Brave AI. And that's of Nadine Stays. Yeah. I guess they just don't podcast anymore. But I'd love to see if they have like any old posts or any like video podcasts so I can kind of see what the setup is like. Don't see anything. Oh, that's unfortunate. So what do we have? Like, if I can try to look at this, what do we see? Oh, I wanted to see the larger image. Yeah, right here. Okay. Looks like it's a 3-person setup on a table. Yeah, it's just a 3-person setup on a table. So, you know, what's this here? There's a 4-person setup here from the looks of it. Okay. So here's this idea with 2 people where you're just sitting across of a coffee table. Oh, I totally forgot Rubin's report. Rubin report? It was pretty similar. So that could work. Well, it's just like a nice like office. This looks like it's a 3D render. Nope, don't like that. This looks like a nice place to podcast. Oh, this is really cool. They just have this in their backyard. Oh, that's really cool. Studio shed. Oh, interesting. It's like an actual thing that you can buy. Oh, that's really cool. Now I'm totally getting off. Like, how much does this cost? Oh my God. Is it really that expensive? Like, I mean, if you just build that, is it pre-built? My goodness, I figured you could do that so much cheaper if you just buy the material. It's DIY as well. And no foundation. I don't know why that's so expensive. Maybe that's just the cost of things nowadays. Could be. But I like this. Those look like nice comfy chairs. So they got the chair and the table. It's like it's like the dual thing. So yeah, my thoughts are, or what I'm really trying to figure out in my mind is, should it be chairs or should it be tables? And we looked at that, chairs to kind of sit down and relax. If you have any ideas, if you're listening to this, please let me know what you think would be ideal. And like, would someone feel more comfortable sitting down at a table or be more exposed when you're just sitting in a chair, right? Like, let's look at this Rubin report thing, right? I think this guest would be sitting in this chair. Is that more of an exposed kind of, like a feeling, right? I mean, it's not like we're grilling people, not like we're talking anything crazy. It's just talking about people's life and their business. Oh, those are some funky chairs. This is interesting. This is really small. So you can do stuff with small space. I don't know if I want to be that close. Can you zoom in on just the picture itself? Oh my goodness, does it really like match things to like buy? That is crazy. Does it use AI to do that? I mean, probably. Um. Okay, are we going through the same images? Is this related content down here? Oh, this is like all my gear, but this is like everything's just all right there. Oh, it's so messy. Hmm. Oh, so this is interesting. So this is the one. This is the same one that I saw. That I was like, hey, they're kind of close together. Let's see this site. Podcast and content studio for hire. Yeah, I thought about this. About that could be like a potential service. So they're producing podcasts. Cool. That's cool.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pennies to Pounds podcast with your host Kia. And this is a podcast where we aim to dispel your myths, simplify difficult financial jargon, and rectify your own personal problems. This is going to be a great episode. I think I say this all the time, but it's because they are genuinely amazing episodes. Last week, you'll know we spoke to the Gen Z boys about...
We really have is the present. There isn't something, reach out and touch kind of thing. He said.
Yeah.
Now the idea is that when you get to a later life stage, you'll
on how much money you'd have to have in retirement
Yeah.
to be able to
Yep.
live basic, comfortable, and luxury. I think it's around, you need basically a retirement pot that pay you out around...
So this is cool. So this is a company. They do this podcast, which is cool. So they're basically paying this company to do it all for them, which is interesting. I was gonna say it looks a little different, but it's just a different color. Oh, and they do. Oh, I want to see this. I saw it. That's an interesting setup. Let's take a look at their pricing. £90 per hour. What's a pound to Canadian dollars? I think it's like, what, 1.3, 1.4 times as much? Maybe more. Oh, this is really cool. Premium edit. You get that for $1,000. Oh, but it's only 4 hours, but still, that's a lot of time to edit. This is really cool. So this is where it's very interesting, where I think of setting up not only just a podcast studio, but also now I'm going, okay, here we go. Here we go, going off the rails. So having a studio space where you can also, where I could film my content, both podcast and studio, to film like YouTube videos or courses, all those kinds of things, to have a space where you can do all of that stuff, but then you could also rent it out to people that want to or need to do their own recording, and to be able to have that consistent money coming in. And that could be its own business model on its own. That's very appealing. I'm not going to lie. That's very appealing. But I do know there's already a couple places in Halifax that do that. I mean, it doesn't mean that there can't be more than one. That's for sure. But anyways, very interesting to think about. Let me lights, camera, mics. What else do they do? amenities what they have in their place. No, that's cool. Yeah, this is really cool. I'm just going to bookmark this. I like that they actually have carpet too. That's cool. So, yeah. What else do we have? That's a smaller one. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so here's sitting on couches / chairs. And that's more, I feel like it might be, this one seems more of a, definitely more casual. It's not necessarily a bad thing. This one's strange. Who's this? This looks like it's, what's his name? The guy who's married to Kristen Bell. Oh, well, it starts with a D, I think. Dax Shepard. Looks like Dax Shepard and Ellen. So here's not they're sitting, but they're also sitting like angled awkwardly. I don't know if that's more difficult on a person. But this is another relaxed, laid back style. And should it be more like this? I don't know. Here's another one that's just two people sitting down. I mean, this looks like they're in a hotel or something like that, but I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit of the chair vibe. But then if you're at a desk, you could like have a laptop or whatever or on a table. I mean, can you do best of both worlds to have a really nice comfy chair, but also on a table? I don't know if we want to do that. I need the help of an interior designer. I mean, there's simplicity in a desk or in a table. Okay. Determine the overall sitting arrangements. Table versus sitting in chairs. Sofa. Okay. Once the style is finalized, I can determine furniture style, I guess. Wait, 1 cent. Set type is finalized. Determine the furniture style. Right. Okay. So can we make an overall what's the word I'm looking for? Timeline. That's the word I'm looking for. So timeline 1. Decide on studio setup. Then after that, we'll definitely need to like purchase and, you know, not set up. Because I don't know what we're going to do with, I don't think I want to do any more painting or anything to the walls. I think I just kind of want to set up the studio and kind of be done with it. Like that one that we saw that was really cool, that had like the floorboards and had like the wood on the wall. I don't think I want to get anything too fancy like that. Just put up some fake flowers or something like that. Purchase furniture and set pieces. And then also, well, we need to decide on, no, I have to do that after the furniture. Because whether we have a table versus like furniture, like the table is furniture, or whether we have a table versus sitting down on chairs like a couch, then we'd have to change up what the, that's what I'm looking for. How the microphones, whether they're on stands, boom mics, whatever. So that needs to be done first. And then we need to decide on tech equipment. And so we need to decide on the tech equipment, and then we need to decide on like I'm thinking of the microphones. Let's just say AV equipment and accessories. I also need to know if this place is going to become a podcast studio, then where's my desk going to be? It's probably going to have to be somewhere else in the house. So determine if the live stream / work desk will remain in den or move to another room in the house. Okay, and create a list of 100 potential guests. And start scheduling. Schedule first block of episodes. I don't know, say like 10. Okay, so this is going to decide on studio setup. That's going to take, I don't know, I think I need to think about it. 3 to 5 days. Say that takes 2 weeks. That's going to take a week. Let's just, throwing things out here. That's just a determination. Create a list. How long is that going to take? We can do this at the same time, but 100 potential guests. Let's just say that's going to take 2 weeks. And then editing and getting first block of episodes ready for live. Yeah, that's tough. This is, So let's say that's going to take a week to do. Assuming I have them all filmed, right? So I don't know. Okay. Maybe the question should be timeline until ready to start like filming and recording. Contact and schedule first, block of guests. So that could take another week. Okay. So let's say estimate. Maybe 6 weeks until ready to start recording, which brings us to, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say July 1st. July 1st to start. So that's not too bad. So this gets me thinking about what to do for our live stream tomorrow. So I want to put all this stuff in Asana, and I want to start organizing my things in there. And maybe tomorrow will be a good day to go over Asana and all the things that I do in Asana and how I use it to basically organize everything that I do here, not only for Pixel but also for my personal brand, like this live stream. So we'll do that tomorrow. So I think this is a good place to stop. Let me save this before I go. I don't think like every day, I don't think it's going to be an episode on what we're doing with the podcast, but whenever there's a good chunk of work that needs to be done on getting started with the podcast, then whether it's ordering equipment or whatever, then we'll record that. But for tomorrow, I think we're going to talk about just organizing the whole business and getting everything kind of under that whole Asana / task management setup. So we know what we're doing and kind of have an idea of where things are going to flow. So we'll leave that there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. If you have any thoughts about the podcast, what it should be like, what it should look like, what do you think the direction is so far in terms of what I'm thinking about what it's going to be, let me know in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. And as always, have a good one. Work on your business. Keep working hard, one day at a time, and we'll get there. So with that being said, see you tomorrow.